Comrades, I am Admiral Andre, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Just when you're starting to lose hope, am I right? Well, we're back, comrades. Again, I can't say how frequently I can upload for the next few months still, but I will do my best. So today, I think the first thing is to just have a look at the settings. I turned this down a little bit because we saw last time we have some real problems because of all the satellites in orbit and because of Mir. There's just too many parts there for the game to run smoothly now. And to that end, I turned things down a bit. Now, it's not really necessary to do it for normal gameplay, but because we're still going to Mir, that is unfortunately a necessary thing. So let's have a look. Right, so very simple. I just turned the texture quality down to half res and the render quality to beautiful. So was there anything else that I did? Anti-aliasing is 2 times. I think I changed that to the 2 times setting last time. I'm not sure. I think it really just comes down to those 2 things. We'll see if it's enough. It should be. I mean, already things are looking not as pretty anymore. But yes, a necessity, unfortunately. So what I've done is the shuttle Atlantis was still docked to Mir, and I just brought that down to sort of practice again in this game. Because if you don't play for a while, you tend to forget the finer points. But that was no problem. But then again, I saw this issue of things going way too slowly. So hopefully this will help. Let's just go out of here. And here is the other issue, comrades. I am still using, even though we can't really see it there now, still using 1.4.3. I did upgrade to the latest version, but then when I started, of course, we have problems with the mods, specifically Copernicus. It actually tells you do not open your save games because it can be corrupted since it's not compatible with this version or the new version of the game. But I couldn't find a newer version of Copernicus. Apparently it wasn't updated yet. So all I did was I rolled back to 1.4.3, which of course you can do in Steam by just going to one of the betas in the options of your various games. So of course not all have those options, but KSP does. So just a note, 1.4.3, but I don't think we're really missing anything. So let's get into this thing, comrades. And of course, the real reason for staying in 1.4.3 is because I don't want to get rid of these mods. I almost can't imagine playing the game without them anymore. Especially from orbit, things look so nice, and without them it certainly is one heck of a downgrade again. Anyway, I'm sure one day I'm going to have to find a new visual mod. There are several options at least, but I'm happy for the moment. Anyway, let's go to the tracking station and just have a look there, and then we'll go to Mir from there. So, comrades, here we are in the tracking station. You can see I still have a whole lot of these Megasat probes on the left. Each time I open the game, which has not been very much, I set a few of them to debris, as we did last time. But since it takes 5 clicks for every one, you can imagine I'm not much in the mood for that, and often I misclick as well. So my policy now is every time I'm in the tracking station, I just turn a few of them over to debris, and eventually we will get through them. Also, I think it is really necessary because when I opened up the game to bring the shuttle back down, all of these lines kept flashing the whole time. It was basically overloading things, I think, to some extent. It's too many items to track here. But anyway, it's working now. So let's just have a look. Where is the station? Of course, it's one of the older objects that we have. 2 years, 319 days. And I thought a nice way to start today is to bring the crew home, since they've been there for a very long time, and it's time for a new rotation. So let's do that first, and that will be a bit of a warm-up for me to just get a handle on things again. So let's go to Mir, comrades. Ah, comrades, such a sight to behold. It has helped a little bit. We have 18 frames per second now, which I can live with, especially given all the solar panels and part counts here. And at least that means we still can bring the shuttle and, of course, the module that we're still missing. And we still have to bring those modular girder panels to the Zvezda here. I think that's the Zvezda. I'm forgetting everything already. But yes, the main thing is we have these 3 crew members and they need to go home now. They have been doing very good work here in this facility, which we will be keeping and using for a very long time, which I said before. That's one of the things maybe I'm going to have to be careful about releasing all these satellites and all these objects in orbit, because I want to use this save game for a long time still. Especially since things like this, the Mir, we put all this work in it, and just look there. You can clearly see the Megasat probes. They're forming almost like the tail of a comet in the background. I was hoping we could see that, and there it is. So, yes, a lot of objects there. Of course, this is with a distant object enhancement. But yes, anyway, the thing is we put the work into the station. We should use it as a staging ground for going to Mars, or not Mars, of course, Duna, or all the equivalents of our planets. And then, yes, also eventually, of course, the ISS, but at the moment there's no real need for the ISS. I see the South African station there in the background. That was just a little test that I did there. Because we have Mir, and Mir has all of the facilities that we need right now, and I will only build the ISS once we feel that this is now very old and we've used it for such a long time. And of course, up to this point, we haven't really made use of it yet because we're still building it. But yes, let's just take the crew back home. They've waited long enough, so where are they at the moment? Let's just have a think about this. Of course, it's been so long here. Transfer crew. Okay, 2 of them are in the core module. Now, which one is the Progress and which one is the Soyuz? So the Soyuz is the one with the dark band there, and the Progress is the one with the white skirting there, which is of course just part of the capsule, I'm imagining. Now, the Progress serves no real purpose here, and I see that heat shield sticking out there. It's not supposed to do that. Strange. But anyway, the Progress has no purpose because we're not using life support mods, and it could be a good reason for doing so again, because we can keep bringing up supplies with the Progress, so it actually has a purpose. What do you know? Maybe. Of course, we don't have any life support objects on the station, so they're going to have a real problem unless we put it on the newest module. Maybe. It could be a good thing to do. Maybe a bit tedious for long-term missions, but it could add a bit of a challenge to the whole thing. Now, of course, we could just go back with the Progress, because unlike the real Progress, which does not have a parachute or a heat shield, my one does. And this is something, of course, I'm going to have to fix still, because this was really just more of a test. The Progress does not even have a decoupler there. The whole thing just returns and deorbits and burns up in the atmosphere. Anyway, so let's just get the crew back into the Soyuz. Of course, the orientations here are a bit weird now, but at least the day is going to help a little. Looking out into the black background here is a bit disorienting a little. Just showing again, I haven't been playing for a long time. Let's just transfer the crew, put them into the return module there. And where is the last crew member? Possibly still here using the telescope? Let's have a look. There's more emails. Oh, good grief. I really need to turn this thing off. Transfer crew. I hate being disturbed by emails when I'm playing games. You know, it's the one time you want to get away from stuff like that. Even if it's just an advertisement. But anyway. Now where's this last crew member? Looks like it's in one of the first modules that we brought up, but to be honest, this could be a little search here. Ah, maybe not. Okay, now, which one again is the right one? Hopefully that's right. So we'll also take the progress down. I think we might even do that first, since it doesn't have a purpose here. Undock that thing, and it gets kicked away in a very weird fashion. Strange. Maybe because of the unextended antenna there. Anyway, turn on the SAS, turn on the RCS, point to retrograde, and just wait till it's safe. Just burn. We'll just wait till it reaches a periapse that's in the atmosphere, and then I'll swap back again. Not a very powerful engine on these craft, but that is, I think, as it should be. So we have to find a purpose for this craft. I think so. We're gonna have to use that life support mod again. Hopefully I can find one that's the right version of the game now. Usually the creators do put older versions in the GitHub. We'll just have to have a look. Just wait till the thing swaps around the view here, then we'll know it's gonna burn up. Otherwise, even if it goes into the atmosphere, it's just gonna orbit infinitely because the atmosphere doesn't have an effect on it. Actually, let's wait till it hits the ground. Good enough. Can I switch? Nope. Already too far away. So we're now getting almost 19 frames. It wants to do 19, but it sometimes goes back down to 18. So even those few parts did help a little again. Alright, so where are we? We have to take our crew home. They are... I wonder how long they've been up here. It's kind of hard to tell because everything is attached to each other now. Just undock here. And... not sure if we can tell from this. Now it's showing 6 seconds again. Right, so is this the upgraded Soyuz? I think it might be. Yes, it does seem to have some RCS control. Yes, this is definitely the upgraded one. Or not RCS control, reaction wheel control. Just go to retrograde. I know we're being reckless here. We're supposed to wait until we're much further away from the station before we do our burn. So let's just push ourselves up here. And it doesn't matter where we land at the moment. This is not the shuttle, so with that, of course, we have to make sure it's at least over land. Goodbye, Mir. We'll be back soon. Just putting it into standby mode there. Yes, I don't know if I could play the game without these visual mods. Just adds too much. There's Atlantis debris. What on earth could that be? Not sure at the moment. Right, so I guess we'll wait till we're about 20 kilometers. Doesn't have to be all the way down to the surface. Actually, that's fine. We're not even moving that fast, so 32 is perfectly fine. Let's wait till we're a bit closer before we start losing parts, though. Alright, 90 or so is fine. Separate the service module there, and of course we keep the orbital module for a while longer because that has some essential facilities. That's the lesson, of course, that the Russians learned. They used to detach this first, but there was a time, can't remember which mission it was, but they had a delayed re-entry and then they actually needed some of the things on this orbital module. So they separate that first now. Yes, I think we can just get rid of this. No one's in there, right? Just make sure. Have made that mistake before. Okay. And I guess we can just leave the SAS on for now. What is that? Progress. Okay, so progress is just a little bit ahead of us. And we are re-entering, comrades, so I will see you close to the ground. Right, comrades, it will be an ocean landing. I waited a little too late with a parachute, but it shouldn't matter too much. Lovely sunset there in the background. At least I think it's sunset. Now I just have to remember this whole business. No, that should be sunrise, shouldn't it? No, it definitely is a... Good grief, am I so confused now? That's a sunset. That's definitely a sunset. So yes, timing this shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just always have a look at the altitude above the terrain, and once we are under 10, then I fire the landing rockets. Also, the other thing is we ran out of ablator. That's a problem. Of course, it doesn't matter too much. This is only a low Kerbal orbit vehicle anyway, but I should add a little bit extra. It's not a healthy thing to run out, but luckily it was quite late in the re-entry. So, 110, 100, 90, 80. So this is your countdown. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Too early, good grief. Too early. I should have waited a little bit later. But it softened the blow long enough, and of course we were on the water, so it's not a problem. Let's go home, comrades. Our Kerbals have been waiting. Back again, wiser and more experienced. Let's just have a look in the astronaut complex if there is any other promising candidate, like I always have a look. Let's just see, we have so many though, is it really necessary? Some very low stupidities, but again, I don't think we need to. Engineer, we could possibly use another engineer. Gillen, Kerman? Why not? Welcome to the team. So, well, it paid off that time. Who is assigned here? The STV. Now, I have to be honest, what on earth is the STV? This is the drawback of not playing in a long time. I'm gonna have to go and have a look, comrades. Anyway, we'll see if I can find old Jeb, wherever he may be at the moment. STV. No clue. Anyway, not important for now. I'm gonna go and have a look at that mod, comrades, the life support one, and then I will get back to you. Of course, I was thinking on the way down, various capsules anyway have some inbuilt life support things if you use that mod, like oxygen and food and water and so on. So I think we don't even need to put anything extra on the station. That's the whole point of the progress anyway. So we'll just have a look and see if we have enough to survive there at least, and then it will add a little bit extra flavor to our game here. So let me go have a look and first just see if I can find Jeb. Well, what do you know, comrades? This is where Jeb is. I forgot all about this. This vehicle is, of course, based on the one Scott Manley made in his 2001 mission pack. I wanted to see if I could create one as well. Of course, I used the cupola here on the front, and I made a few small changes, but overall it's basically a rip-off of his vehicle, but I did add a drill in the back to see if I could create fuel here on the go, but I don't think it's really working very well. It's too little ore and all of that here, but we should actually have enough to get back. Anyway, the reason I did this, I went to this crater again. I think this was the one that Scott Manley used in his 2001 mission pack. And I wanted to see if we could create some kind of a base here, just because it's such a nice view, and of course this is in the southern hemisphere of the moon. Let me just have a look if I can switch to other objects. No, I can't. Just want to see what is going on here at the moment. There's the landing beacon, which is really pointless because I can never land directly on it, but let's just go there. So yes, this is it. Not very inspiring, I guess, but I wanted something that could work as a landing pad, and I put it on this sort of hill here inside the crater. Did I create anything else here? For some reason I think I did. So there's Jeb now. And what's all this other debris here? Well, I can't actually focus on anything else. I'm sure I put a giant tank here somewhere. A fuel tank. Let's just have a look. It was all just an experiment quite a while ago. No, maybe it never... I don't know, maybe I reverted on that thing. I'm not sure. Let's just go to this debris. And as it turns out, the debris is the tank. So yes, I had this whole grand vision of having a mining outpost here, and we'll create our own fuel and go from here to the various planets and all of that. Not quite sure if that's very achievable. I even sought out this landing area because it was very flat and all of this, but anyway, then we're supposed to build a mining vehicle and dock here and fill this whole thing up, and I don't know, it's very ambitious, but too ambitious. I think the first thing I should do is just bring Jeb back to the crater area. I think the reason I took him up there is because there's no actual fuel source inside the crater, but it is around the crater. Maybe I'll leave him there for now. Let's focus back on today's mission. Oh well, just a little something I was doing. This is already a long time ago. Oh well, let me go find the mod. Then again, comrades, if I add the life support mod now, Jeb is pretty dead because there's no provision for that on his vehicle. Of course, again, he will have some inbuilt supplies, I'm sure. No, we're gonna have to rescue him, comrades. First of all, I think then we can start with a clean slate. So let's go back home to the VAB and just find a way to bring him home. Okay, some more mod errors here, as you can clearly see. Let's just find the VAB if I can. Now, of course, we already have many vehicles available, so let's just use one of those to bring him back home before we start adding any world-altering mods here. Now, what can we use? I'm gonna have to think about this. Right, so one of the obvious choices would be to use the Saturn V, but we've taken that one already. Well, I can say the same of the other options, the Gemini one, and which one is of course the great N1. Where is that now anyway? There, of course, under N. Maybe we should take this one. I like the N1. Let's go with this. Actually, the developers, or not the developers, whoever it is that runs the forum, or is one of the big forum people of the Kerbal Space Program website, actually asked me to update the game because they wanted to feature this N1 L3 mission of mine, but because now I don't have the upgraded Copernicus, I'm still in the old version of the game, so I haven't been able to respond to that yet. Oh well, let's fly the N1. So yes, I think we can just launch this from the desert. Why not? We might have to wait for the day again, just for the sake of it. And let's just see who's the crew now. We only want one crew member now. It will be Valentina. So let's go. Well, as it turns out, it's still daytime here, so that's a good thing. Now, hopefully I can still fly this thing, comrades. That's another story. But let's give it a go. So, obviously we will not be exactly equatorial here, but the target is not equatorial either. So, we'll make the necessary adjustments. Let's just get to orbit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Comrades, isn't that interesting? Our megasat swarm is passing overhead, and you can clearly see it's getting longer and longer every time it passes overhead, which is what I said would happen, because of course they're not all on the same exact height there or altitude, so they will have slightly different orbital speeds. So maybe by the time they're really spread out, it will actually be good for performance. I'm not sure how much of an impact we have at the moment. But yes, passing through the clouds, of course, did have a bit of a hit to the system again, as you could imagine. But we are here. This was a really bad ascent, I have to say. I turned way too late, and we're seriously deviating here. Shows you if you're out of practice, it's a bad thing, but anyway. Just have to wait. We're passing way over the satellites there. Of course, they're not in any harm's way at the moment, or at least we are not in harm's way, because we are slightly inclined to them. But you can imagine if you pass through that swarm, you're going to have a real bad time. But anyway, that's why we just always have to be aware of the 115 kilometer orbital slot at that specific inclination. Anyway, we need to get to orbital speed. We are very far from it, so let's see if I can manage this thing without blowing all our fuel here. Well, that's truly a non-circular orbit there, but it seems we're basically out of fuel now anyway. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Good grief, I can't remember. I just know the fuel margins on this thing are quite narrow. Maybe, no, leave it on. What am I doing? Then you press the button anyway. Eish, oh well. That thing's basically out of fuel anyway, so there's not much I can do with it. Now, our target. Let's just see if I can not totally mess this up here. The thing is, we have to make sure that we're going to pass overhead of that crater. And the whole thing again. What's the trick with that? Why am I not getting the moon here? What's happening? It's because we're so inclined to it. Could be. Well, there it goes. Okay, we just have to go a bit further out there. Now, the direction doesn't matter too much. No, this was all a mess up. Oh, and there's another email. I have to turn that off. What's the point of sending a spacecraft that can take one person in the lander, and it's not automated, so you can't send it to the surface empty? Oh dear, well, seems the Admiral is in need of more training here. Now what on earth can I do to salvage this? I suppose we'll just have to land the whole stack on the surface? The thing was obviously never designed for that. I don't see any other way though. Well, we're gonna try. Let's try. We're here anyway. Might as well take that. 846 meters is not too bad. 4 minutes and 48 seconds. Now, of course, we can't go according to the burn because this thing is empty anyway. It has 7 liters of fuel left. And then we'll be burning the other thing there. But now, anyway, the whole mission plan is out the window. We should have used the Saturn or the Gemini. Oh well. Maybe it's more interesting this way. If it's a success, by the way. But let's see. Again, this is not going to be too precise, but oh dear, so be it then. And it's out of fuel. Separate that. Separate that. Fire that. Do all the things. Last thing I want is to get someone else stuck there. Lights on, and I have to turn the fuel cell on, that I remember. Now the question is, where is the fuel cell? There it is, on the outside. Okay, let's just make sure. How am I going to do this? We're obviously going to have to dump the lander and transfer any fuel that it has over to the other tanks. But I can't actually dump the lander without detaching from the stage that we're attached to right now, since it doesn't have a docking port. Well, we'll see. Well, this will at least take us over the target. Of course, we'll have to wait until we orbit over it, but there it is. So, yes, I guess we now just have to wait. We will do an abort or go sort of check just before we actually proceed with that landing there. And if it's just not going to happen, then we abort, no go, and we come back home. So, let's have a look at this thing. Okay, we are now past the apo or periaps. That's fine though. Just need to turn around and actually see if we can insert ourselves into an orbit. You know, I don't think this thing is gonna work. It wasn't designed to land. Well, good grief. At least Valentina gets a free trip to the moon then. That stage does pack quite a punch though. Question is one of fuel. That's the real thing. Although, just getting ideas here. I'm not sure though. We're gonna have to go back and look. The STV that Jeb is in right now, I'm almost sure it doesn't have enough fuel to make orbit, but if it actually does, then we don't even need to worry about this. Alright, we're in an orbit. We have vapors left in this stage, so maybe we'll have to have a look at this whole idea of coming up from the surface. Let me just switch back to Jeb and we'll have a look. Right, so it's night here, 720 meters per second. That's cutting it close. I'm not sure if that's enough, to be honest. We have no RCS on this thing, of course. Is it even gathering anything? You see, ore rate is not available. It's wasting... Well, it's because electricity is out, isn't it? No, electric charge is fine. Well, retract the drill. It's because I didn't actually start the thing. Let's just see. Yes, there is a little bit. But does that actually translate into fuel? That's the other question. Now, where on earth is this thing's fuel converter? Somewhere inside, and of course it's pitch black, so I can't actually see anything. Okay, there's the ore tank. There's the stabilizer. Well, I'm gonna speed this up, comrades. Let's see if this fuel level actually increases here. Well, I'm afraid not. We ran out of electric charge. Of course, now it's back because of the sun. But it's so slow, we barely manage to get anything, which you would imagine is the case from a small drill like that. But now where on earth is that converter? Do we even have such a thing on this vessel? Maybe we don't. Maybe I really can't remember what I intended here. Maybe we're supposed to take it back to the drilling vessel now. I think that's actually the case. In that case, the extra mass of the ore is not what we want. Well, quick save and see what we can do. Doesn't matter now if the orbits are not aligned. I just want to see if we can actually get into orbit, because we still have some fuel on the N1 to maneuver with. Let's just see if we can do this thing now. How on earth do I pilot this again? Target? No, not target. So, well, let's have a look, comrades. I'm gonna go with the 90 just because that is obviously the most efficient. 640, 620. Okay, we don't need to go very high here. 7.9 is fine actually. 500, we should actually make orbit. I mean, orbit itself is 5 something, so as long as we're not burning everything inefficiently, we should be alright. Okay, 7 seconds to apoapse. As usual, Jeb pulls off the coup de grace and he actually rescues himself. Possibly. Of course, he still needs to get to Kerbal. That's the other part. Might have actually waited too late now. We are pushing the prograde too far down, so I have to bring it back up again. Not efficient, but I think we're fine actually. 300 plus 300 is 600, so that's already more than what we need. Of course, this vessel is now completely useless, but that's also alright. It was just a test. Okay, let's go a bit closer and try again. It is well balanced. I remember that took me a little time to see what Scott Manley did and actually try and recreate that. 100, maybe. Yep, we're in orbit, comrades. Of course, Jeb rescued himself. Now, yes, that's the thing. The craft is not controlled from the actual cockpit there. What wasn't? How do I switch again? 4. That's the thing, I think. Can retract the drill here now. And we're flying. We're floating over the surface, just like the moon bus in Space Odyssey. Now, how on earth are we gonna get back to Valentina? That's the other thing now. Well, her orbit has got to come down here. Although we could probably push our one up still. No, 84 is not really enough. Or actually, let's push it up a little bit. We're not doing it efficiently because we're just pointing radial out now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. No, of course it matters. We're going to crash back down into the surface now. Stupid fool. 4.4 kilometers. That's pushing it. Well, as a final resort, we can always get Jeb out of the vehicle here. Okay, F5 again. At least we're still in orbit. That's one thing. So if he does now hit the surface, we'll revert again. Now let's just switch back to Valentina and see if I can match the orbit. Well, the disasters just keep coming, comrades. We're going the opposite way. That's not gonna help. The question is, do we have enough fuel to completely reverse our orbit here? I really think we should get rid of everything now. We still have a little bit of fuel in this thing. We might as well use it, to be honest. Let's just dump the shroud. Then take whatever fuel is on this thing, since we will not be using it, and transfer it over. It's not really that much. Obviously, it's not made for a heavy craft. It should give us a few more seconds. Alright, now the other thing is... Where did I store? Okay, it's fine. The monopropellant doesn't matter now. Might as well extend some of these antennas so we can relay our terrible situation. Now... First thing I would do is take the orbit out so that it's cheaper to do the inclination change. Okay, just as far as we can take it, like that. That'll do. I'm not gonna worry too much about apoaps, periaps and all of that now. We'll just make the burn right here. And see how we go, since I did save things. Okay, that little bit of fuel on the lander did help. That's a good thing. And that'll do. So now when we get to this point, actually right there, but it's still far enough away, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Then we have to swap this whole thing around. Now doing this again, I have to remember how to do this, because now I have to offset this again. Right, that'll take us halfway there. Now that's too much again. Okay, if we can just do that, then that's a start already. So let us just get to the target marker there. And then I will see you in a moment. Again, it's too late. What am I doing here? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Anyway, let's see if we can still do something here. I've lost my finesse. Can you believe it? Well, it's just a little rusty, that's all. Now, where's Jeb? That's the other question. Did he now crash into the surface? Just stop for a second. He is nowhere to be seen. He's dead. Reload. Right, he's got to get out of this thing and use his jetpack to push the periaps out further. So, just EVA, just leave this thing right here. At least we know it's gonna get removed anyway. So, if I go up, is that? No, I actually have to come down. 10 by 14. That's perfectly fine. Let's F5 again. Poor Jeb. Now let's go back to the N1. Righto, comrades, it's been 2 days since I recorded what you saw just a second or two ago. Yes, it's just sometimes one doesn't have the time to complete the whole episode, but certainly I am now very happy to complete this rescue. Now, what did we do last time? We placed Jeb on an orbit of his own, since the craft there, what is it, the STV is going to impact somewhere. Now the question is, how far away are we in terms of our orbital inclination? Let's just set as target. And see, oh, still not good here. What is going on? I think that was the issue. We did do the correction, but then we saw that obviously he was not there anymore. So let's just find a place here and make this change. Again though, we have to really burn outwards first. Let's just go on this side, and as far as possible, just so, I think. And what is this doing here now? Just delete that. Okay, now, what's the next step? 20 minutes, so let's just get into the right position here. How are things? We still have a bit of fuel. I think this was again before us ditching the shroud and then transferring the fuel, so let's do that again. Just get it all in there, and then another one. I still want to continue working a bit on the N1 itself. There's still so much that we have to do, but you know, that's a good thing, because that means we'll never run out of ideas. Now, let's just get pointing the right way, and I might as well extend one of the antennas again, just to repeat what we've done already. And then in 19 minutes we will do this burn. That'll do right there. See you in a moment, comrades. Okay, much better than the last time. At least now we're not going to overshoot the target there. I guess this is fine. We can just point to prograde. So, a few more seconds. Just switch to free camera again. 3, 2, 1 and 0 actually. Skipped one there. And that should go relatively quickly. At least we know we will have the fuel to make it back home, because we haven't even used the LOK here, its own fuel. Just a bit more. Okay, I don't think we should push our luck further than that. Now the issue is again, how do we do this? So let's go up, it doesn't matter either way, and then back, and then up and back. It's a balancing act, of course. Now, where are we? Bit more, I think. Don't have to do the whole thing in one go. As you can see, it's not too accurate. Yes, I think let's just do that. Or can we actually do the whole thing in one go? 281 meters, we still have 1.1 kilometers. I think we'll be fine. Okay, that should do. Again, we'll have to make further adjustments, but overall, we should be able to make this with no problem. So see you again in a few moments, comrades. Right, so we've burnt all the fuel. We can get rid of everything here. For future reference, if we want to make a complete orbital reversal, of course we just have to burn retrograde and then the orbit will flip. I don't even have to do all those calculations and maneuvers. So let's just decouple this node. There's nothing left for us there. And continue from here. So 960, so it should be okay. After all now, all that we need to do is just more or less match up with Jeb and then return home. So I think we'll make it. At least I hope so. I don't want to do a double rescue. So are we matched? What's it looking like at the moment? 13 degrees. No, I think further corrections are needed. Now, which way are we going at this time? Actually, the other way, of course. So, now that's... good grief, that's still a big difference. .4. Well, I guess we have to. It's only 30 meters per second. Just get to the thing, and I might as well start burning now. Just switch back to normal camera. Right, now where are we? Just close this and turn off the RCS before it uses everything. 0.5, that's perfectly fine, comrades. Now, how on earth are we going to meet up? Or I should say, how on the moon are we going to meet up? What happens if we just reduce this? Okay, that leaves a bit of a gap there, but once we get to the periapse, we can make further adjustments. I think this will do. Now it's obviously back to the retrograde. It's kind of important that we don't run out of monoprop here because we do not have any reaction wheel on this craft. But we'll be fine, I think. 10 minutes. Let's wait the 10 minutes. Okay, whoop, never mind. It's fine. It's fine. Jib, we're gonna get you. I still want to get this mod also today. Just so we're set up for the next episode. I think this, when we put all of these parts of this episode together, it's going to be quite a long episode anyway. It's a good return back to KSP. Now, actually I should focus on the moon here. Turn that off again. Right, so we're more or less matched up here at the periapse. Now, let's just have a look. It's going to be a bit of a burn here. Unfortunately, it's not showing there. Sometimes it does that, and I have to think, what do I have to do now? I think it can only show once we get there and make the burn. Then we'll be able to see the targets match up there. So I'll leave this on retrograde lock, and I'll see you again in a few moments. Right, RCS on. Get to retrograde and basically start burning as soon as we get there. Okay, just burn. Close that and just show me what we end up with. Now again, these markers are not showing up because it's not on the same orbit. Right, let's try again. Doesn't matter if it's only a few seconds away. Just say plus. If I can click on it now. Okay, now we're starting to see something. That's what I want to see. Okay, close enough, comrades. We'll still have to make a bit of a burn. Let's just do this thing now. Obviously we passed it there. Let's just see, is this going to be the thing? Nope, it's too much. Back to prograde. Although I could have just used the RCS. Good grief. Okay, we're coming back. Separation and a bit more. Turn off the RCS. Alright, so once we go around, we will be meeting up with Jeb, and then we just have to match up. So I'll see you again in a few moments. Right, comrades, obviously we are experiencing this graphical problem again because we are in the shadow of Kerbal, and that is what the moon looks like with this mod if we find ourselves in this situation. Anyway, not an issue. Let's just get to the target. Retrograde lock and 112 seconds. We should be able to do this. 151, that should still leave us with more than enough to get home. I think let's do this now. Obviously we are not having the most powerful engine here, so we don't want to leave it to the last second, but actually the gap is growing, so we should wait a little. Maybe around 30 seconds. Actually, let's go now. Back to stability assist. I just want to get this thing directly on the retrograde marker. 34, it's stabilizing. That means we have more than enough power. If the time still keeps going down, then we have a problem. Actually, I might as well burn the whole thing. Let me just pause here, comrades. Horrible sneeze. Obviously, I didn't want you to suffer through that. 20 seconds estimated burn. Should be just fine. Monoprop, still fine. And of course, Jeb still has some monopropellant in his pack, so we don't need to worry that much. Are we out of the shadow yet? Not quite, it seems. Okay, burn. Of course, as we burn, the gap between us grows larger again. Let's just see, where are we? Can we see him? Oh yes, only a few hundred meters away. I think 26 meters, that should be just fine. Let's burn. Right, 12 meters. Uh-oh, going a bit fast there. Burn, 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 burn. 4 meters. Okay, just go to a stop. At least a relative stop here. Okay, that's it. Now Jeb is rescued. Now, of course, it's so dark here, we can't really see much, but at least we can see what we need to see. So, down and forward. Just put his light on here. Now, where's the hatch on this thing? Of course, it should be right there. We didn't even bother extending the other antennas there. It was so urgent, we had to rescue him. Bored. Now, of course, he's in the orbital module. You can stop with the RCS, thank you. So we must just make sure to move him back to the reentry module, otherwise we'll have another problem. And since we're here, extend that little antenna. I can't remember if it's on a hotkey, but if I press something now, I'm afraid we might have some unintended consequences, since I can't really remember what the keys are. Anyway, that's it, comrades. Now it's time to go home. We have completed our rescue here. Looks like the moon is coming out of the shadow now. Very weird glitch and stuff. Obviously, it's not made for even this version of the game. You can actually see it grow here as it comes out of the shadow. Interesting. Now we have a very offset orbit here, so how are we going to do this? I think really what we just need to do is escape from the moon, and then we will be able to make the further adjustments. So let's burn prograde. Doesn't matter really which way we go. We're almost perpendicular here. And burn. Just get out of here. There we are, tiny engine, but more than enough. And we're also getting the sun back, but of course we don't need it for power. Now, let's just see. We should be able to do this. I wonder why there's a difference in the delta V. Could it be counting the monoprop? Don't think so. Oh, it's the solid fuel, of course. It's the landing rockets. That's what. Comrades, I will see you again when we are close to Kerbal. Okay, let's just stop here. We might be in a situation of a bit of a problem here. I see we have 387 meters left. Is that enough? I just want to confirm. Otherwise, we'll have to use the moon to bleed off some more of this delta V. That's cutting it close. I think it's fine. Let's just make sure. Okay, that's a definite re-entry, and that's 366. Good grief. Talk about cutting it close, comrade. Well, well, talk about cutting it close indeed. 26 meters per second left, but we have a guaranteed re-entry. At that point, now, can we see this point? Where is this going to be? Of course, it's, can turn off the RCS again. It's not exact that it will be there, of course, it's not a guarantee. Depends on what the specific aerodynamic forces will be as we re-enter, but it will definitely be an ocean landing, and it will definitely be at night, I think. Or can we make it before then? It should actually still be in the day. Well, that will be a good thing. Anyway, comrades, let's go and bring Jeb home. Oh, we actually have the cloud of satellites directly in our path here. This is such a dangerous thing. Look at that, it's forming literally a ring around the planet now. Of course, these ones we see because they're still being tracked by the global network here, but those other ones are all not being tracked anymore, so we could really find ourselves in a problem. Actually, are there still more of them? Oh, good grief, we're passing right in this. Oh, well, a few kilometers still, but that is cutting it too close. What the... Now, we are still moving at very fast velocity here, so we're almost moving with them, but still an impact would be catastrophic. We literally passed through them or just over them. Luckily there was a gap here, as you can see. Oh man, this was such a bad idea. Anyway, adds a bit of fun to it, I think. Well, depends on your definition of fun, I guess. Let's just get ready for re-entry now. This is very much like gravity. If this is not almost an exact replica, I don't know. Okay, we're on our final approach. I've never visited this crater island here, so that's interesting. I'm just a bit cautious that we might be coming down over mountains, and that could be quite catastrophic. So it's actually not an ocean landing. As I said, it depends on all the forces that act in upon the craft. Anyway, let's deploy the parachute now. At least we survived the re-entry. And all the satellites are still passing overhead, as you can see right there. Now, what's the terrain looking like? 9-degree slope. It's not too terrible. It would be absolutely catastrophic with the Vostok or the Voskhod, where we just have the round capsule. But this is still okay. Anyway, let's prepare. Just have to keep an eye on the terrain altitude there so we can fire the rockets at the right time. Actually, a lovely island. Not quite as mountainous as I feared, but we're not right on the edge there. Get rid of that heat shield. Has no more value for us. And yes, if we landed there somewhere on the edge, that could have been mission over, I think. Then the other option would be to jump out with a parachute. But they're not 3 stars, that's the problem. Oh dear, well, at least it's not a problem. 6.3 degree slope, that's fine. Let's speed up a little. Now, we are probably, well, definitely, I think, going to survive if I don't fire the retro rockets. Of course, we'll just lose this shroudy on the bottom. But of course, that's what the rockets are for. So, 16, 15, 14, 13. Now, of course, I have to fire it just after 10 meters. 6, 5, 1, go. Almost perfect. Just a few meters per second there. Of course, the rockets run out just before we land, but that's okay too. Just as long as it takes the edge off. And I see we do have this very uneven pattern on this thing. Something we can fix in the future. But we did it, comrades. We survived this whole ordeal despite my many errors here. Anyway, I think that will do for this episode. That's enough action for now. In the next episode, I will, of course, if I can find the right version of that life support mod thing, then I will install it and we will build the last module of the Mir station. Then I'll also be able to see exactly how much of the resources we can fit by default into the station and how much more we would need in that last module. But again, that's the whole reason for the progress. So otherwise we won't even need regular resupplies. Of course, I don't want to make it too regular because that would be too much of a drag. But otherwise, I think that is still the best thing to do. So, comrades, see you next time, and never fear, this is going to be a long journey. We still have so many craft to build, including the SLS and, well, the Buran and all of those things. So many things, but yes, luckily there is tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, or the day after that. But anyway, see you then, comrades. Have a fantastic day, and as always, thank you for your support.